So, tips to get started: move first, downsize later, how to make your move easier, and then, of course, how to stage your home and get it ready to sell. So who am I? Why am I doing this? Well, I actually moved 27 times because I just moved in October. So yes, I know. Isn't that crazy? I've lived in several states, had a lot of jobs, but I've had to move and downsize a lot of times. I went from a one, not even a bedroom, a studio apartment in New York to studio in Chicago to a house to a one bedroom to a two bedroom. So yeah, I have a lot of moving experience and packing experience. But I actually am from Eldridge, if anybody is familiar with Eldridge. And I have been with LivWell Seniors for 5 years. And I actually got started because Rhonda, who owns LivWell Seniors, is not here today, has a well-deserved vacation. But she said to me years ago, she wanted me to come work for her. And then she said, hey, you want to start your own business? Why don't you go ahead and start a moving business? Because I have a lot of seniors who don't have anyone to help them move, or they, all their friends are their age. And so I thought, sure, I'll do that. That's easy. I do it all the time. And so I'll tell you a little bit about my first client as we go along. Now, one of the things when somebody is trying to move, now, organizing is one thing, but if you're organizing or downsizing to move, it's a whole different thing, okay? And you see the whole project. We see one room at a time. We might even see part of a room at a time. And so when you don't look at your whole house, then it's not as overwhelming. And so when you're actually looking at a room and you want to put like things together, I'll give you a story, okay? So one of my clients that I moved, she moved into a senior community, and she went from a pretty big house into a 2-bedroom over at the community. And she said, I have a formal dining room. I want to keep my dining room. I'd like to take some placemats with me. Okay, great. Let's get out the placemats and figure out what you want. We went into 6 rooms. 6 rooms had placemats. Kid you not, right? So if all of your like items are not together and in the same room, then you need to go gather them so you can put them together and say, okay, which ones do I really want to move now? Do I need all of these? Which ones haven't I touched in years? And so having like items together really helps because you can see that you don't need them all. And you can take your favorite ones, right? And then you want to remove things, as you are getting your items together and you are starting to decide, yep, I want to take that. I don't want to take that. That's really not needed in my life anymore. Then you can go ahead and start getting things out of your house, right? Whenever we were talking about a keep pile, a think about it pile, and I'm not taking it with me pile, the not taking it with you pile needs to get out of your house. Not just go into a corner, not go into a room. It needs to leave your house. Donate it, give it away, give it to your kids. We'll talk about that in a minute too. This is really important, guys, and I mean this. If you don't remember anything today, remember this. Let your family have what they want, okay? Don't wait until you're gone. Don't wait until you're dead. Let them have it now. Let them enjoy it while you're alive. Let them actually, have a chance to have you see how much they enjoy it. Because when it's gone, it's gone. I don't care if you sold it, donated it, disposed it, it's gone. So talk to your family. What do they want in your house? And if you say China, if they say China, then pat them on the back and say you're the only one in the world that wants China. And then you call everybody else in the room and say, hey, they want your China too. That's the one thing nobody wants anymore, just to let you know. Really hard to get rid of. Anyway, definitely you want your family to take what they want because they really are going to tell you they don't want much. Now, here you are. You're a collector? Anyone an extreme collector? You know what I mean? Is there another word that comes to mind? Starts with an H, ends with an R? Hoarder? And it's okay. And it's all right because here's the thing. Extreme collectors, there was a reason you did that. It made you feel good. It was something that was your grandma's. It was something that meant something to you at the moment. And, what you want to do is, again, you need to start looking at things as of what do you want to keep? What really makes a difference? What would, I always tell people when I move them, would you cry if it broke? And if that didn't come with you, would you be really upset? Then it goes with you. Okay. Sometimes you have to pick your battles. One spouse might be an extreme collector and the other one's not. And so you really have to think about what that item means to you. And if it needs to go with you, take it with you. You can always get rid of it on the other side if you're actually doing a move. So, but if you put like items together, there it is again, you're going to see you have a lot of one thing. I actually helped somebody organize their closet. Believe it or not, they hired me to organize their closet. And she had 20 white blouses. 20 white blouses. And I went, okay, how many of these do you wear? Let's talk about the ones you actually wear. And she donated a whole bunch of clothes that day. It was very rewarding for her. And she pared it down. So those like items will really show you that you probably don't need everything that it's in there. Okay, what do you do with everything? I get asked that a lot, and I have a lot of people say, this is so nice. It's such, my furniture is such quality furniture. I want to sell it. Well, guess what? You're going to get pennies on the dollar, right? Anybody do Facebook Marketplace or eBay or, so that $2,000 couch just got sold for $300. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with strangers coming to your house? I'm saying right now, don't be alone when you're there. Don't have anybody coming to your house to pick up an item and you're there alone. So think about things like that. If you're okay with having pennies on the dollar then go for it. You might have somebody in your life, a grandkid or a neighbor who is really good with the internet, and they said they'll sell it for you and keep 50%. How about that one? A lot of times the people who do this for a living keep 30, 40, 50% when they're selling something online. Hey, if it means that you got a few bucks in your pocket, then go for it. But donate. There are organizations that will come and pick it up for free. Habitat, DAV, they'll come to your house and pick it up for free. A lot of them will not go anywhere but on the main floor. So keep that in mind. If you're calling anybody to come and pick up your donations, make sure if something's down the basement that they'll go down the basement and get it. Because a lot of them won't anymore. During COVID, it was absolutely unheard of. They barely even went in the house. You had to take it outside. But now some of them will, some of them won't. It just depends who you call. And so that's another thing. A lot of them won't take mattresses. Some of them, like Humble Dwellings, won't take a mattress at all, any size. 180 will take a single and a full. So nobody takes kings. Forget kings. And so those little differences are really important on who you call and the questions you ask. Sometimes they want to see pictures of the furniture. It depends if you're texting them or not. So those calls are really important. And then, of course, dispose. Now, if you have a big house and you have a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff is probably going to be disposed of, you might want to think about doing a dumpster and just making it easy on the people who are helping you. So they're just putting it in a dumpster. They're not having to take it to the garbage, to the dump, or trying to find a dumpster somewhere else that's not theirs. But that's obviously the easy way to do it. So, you're gonna figure out what to do once you know what you're keeping, and then get rid of everything else, one way or the other. Like moving companies, they do that. If you call like 2 men in a truck, they'll have guys come over and do that. And even another thing is, like, some of the moving companies with the guys, they will come, if you hire them, they'll come over and move things from the basement to the first floor. And they'll also actually take it away and donate it for you. They'll take it to DAV or Habitat. I do that a lot when I'm moving people. If they want to donate, I'll put the donation stuff in the truck first. And then after you've unpacked your truck, they can go drive it over and donate it. You guys, this works every single time. I promise you, you will never regret this. If you are moving into a smaller place, if you can afford, if you have a mortgage still, you can afford 2 payments for 1 month, maybe 2. Cami can relate to that and tell you more about the market. But if you move first, you're only going to move what fits, right? Automatic downsizing. Automatic downsizing. And so you are going to take your favorite things. You're going to make sure they fit in your new place. If you took too much, you can take it back. If something would fit that you didn't take, it's still at your house. So it's a beautiful thing. It works every single time. And then guess what? After you moved, you're all settled in your new place, and everything else is going to go out of your house faster. You clear your house out faster. So I promise you, if you can do that, that is what is going to work, because moving stinks, right? I just moved in October and I do it for a living. So it's tough. That is a hard day for you. If you're going into a senior community, I tell everybody, you become 5 years old again. You don't know where the bathroom is. You don't know what time lunch is. You don't know who to ask what question to for a week. And then a week later, you know everything and you're fine. But that moving first, then you can go back to your house anytime you want and get rid of everything else and get your house on the market faster. What do you really need? Now, there's a difference between want and need. Okay? This is your chance to downsize and take what you need. I just helped someone the other day go back to her house, and she actually said, I don't want to hardly take anything because I don't want my new place to be cluttered. And she's an extreme collector. So here's your chance to make that new lifestyle clutter-free and start over. And think about this. We're all getting older, right? Every minute we're here, we're getting older. You may not use a walker now, but you might in the future. What's the traffic path? You might not need a wheelchair now, but you might in the future. How can you get around? You've got to think traffic paths, right? So, plan for your future when you're thinking about downsizing or moving. Emotional attachments. I have people ask me this all the time. What am I supposed to do with these bins of pictures, right? My own best friend had every piece of artwork from her kids from kindergarten till they graduated. And I was like, why? And she's like, because I'm sure they're going to want it. And guess what they said? No. Yeah. Probably when they were in the house. And that's another thing. I tell everybody, if somebody doesn't live in the house with you, neither should their stuff, right? It should not be in there with them, because what are you going to do? You're going to have it in the basement somewhere. But a lot of times I get asked about pictures, and pictures are probably one of the toughest because they're really hard to get rid of. And I don't know how many of you have the moving picture frame that you can send pictures over to. Best thing in the whole world. So you can take a picture on your phone, take a picture of the picture, and then send it over to the frame, or put it in a folder on your computer. And then you have those pictures forever, and you can share them with anybody you want to share them with. And then and sometimes you have to turn your back and let somebody else take the pictures out of your house. But it definitely, you can just take a picture of the picture and you'll have it forever. And then if you want to print it out and put it in a book or whatever. So, and then, the whole idea though is for you this is where you have the chance to only keep what really is important to you and really has a good memory for you. What do you need to keep? And we, in the future, we're going to have some files that you can have. It's just, where do you keep everything that is important? Where are your digital passwords? Do you have a will? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a power of health? Do you have all those documents somewhere that your family knows where they're at? Can they access them? So if you can help your family when you're no longer here, not have to live in crisis because you are so organized and you have one place that everything is at, they will thank you forever, right? Because they're not going to be searching and wondering, oh my gosh, how do I unlock mom's phone? I mean, I had to ask my husband how to unlock his phone, right? And think about that. You're the only one on your phone, right? You don't think about who's going to need your phone in the future, who's going to need those documents in the future. So not only should you have them, if you don't, run right away to an attorney and get them. And I mean that because you will regret not having your will, your living will, your power of attorney, power of health. And then, of course, it'll help your family when the time comes. Make sure they're stored somewhere safe. Your bank accounts, that's another thing. Making sure that if you don't have somebody being able to access your bank accounts, your financial advisor has all that information, that you have that all stored somewhere safely. I told you about my first client. This is Judy. And Judy had lived in the same apartment for 50 years, 50. So when Judy, and by the way, it was a walk-up second floor. So when Judy fell and went to the hospital, went home, fell again, went to the hospital, went home, doctor said, you can't live alone anymore. And so that's where we got her into a senior community. And so that's how I started my company. And so I went over to Judy's house. She was still in rehab. And she gave me her key and I went over there. Well, guess where Judy's laundry was? In the basement. Guess what Judy did instead of washing her clothes? She bought more. So I walked into her bedroom to find clothes 5 feet high all the way around the room because she didn't want to wash them because they were in the basement. It's not if you're going to fall, it's when you're going to fall, right? Where's your bedroom? Upstairs. Where's your laundry? Down the basement. Think about that, aging in place. So I donated 20 bags of her clothes. And by the way, because of all these hospital stays and she had, gained and lost weight. So there were 5 different sizes in there, some with tags. I donated 20 bags to Dress for Success, and they finally said, stop, we can't take anymore. And so then the rest of them, and it was probably another 20 bags that went to DAV, Goodwill, just anywhere I could get them donated because they were beautiful clothes. Four Seasons, anybody shop at Four Seasons? She was a big Four Seasons person. Anyway, that just things, you guys, things to think about. Things to think about. That's why we're here. We're here to have you think about your future, be proactive, and start making plans. So if you organize and start downsizing now, obviously, even if you're not moving right away, you'll be preparing for whatever the move is in the future. And you may want to have a professional help you. Sometimes I jumpstart people because you're stuck. You're stuck, you're paralyzed, you don't know where to start. So that having it can be a friend, it can be a family member, having somebody help you to get unstuck and start it, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can do this. And then don't go with the whole house, start with one room and just start with one part of a room if you have to. Downsizing feels overwhelming. It is. I'm not going to kid anybody. It's overwhelming, but you can do it. And you can do it either with somebody else in your life helping you, with a professional helping you, but acknowledge that it's hard and maybe you can't do it alone. Okay, so that's the key, is maybe it's time to have some help, either, like I said, a friend, a family member, a professional. And it's okay because if it means that it goes quicker, then I think that's a fair assessment of being successful with this. So what happens if there's a crisis? Oh, goodness gracious. We deal with this all the time, you guys. So LivWell Seniors, probably 80% of our calls are a crisis. Where's Carly? Went to the hospital, couldn't go home. Doctor said, you're not safe home alone. You're not safe at home at all. And guess what? If you haven't been proactive, who's making the decisions for you? Your kids? Do you have kids? Who's making your decision if you don't have kids? Do you like your kids? Do your kids like you? I mean, I swear, we get these calls all the time. So when you're not able to make your own decision and you're in a crisis, then guess what? They're going to move stuff out of your house for you because you haven't thought about where you're going, what's going to fit. Estate sales are not easy to book. A lot of, first of all, there's not a lot of estate sale people. If you're in a townhome or a condo, your home association may not even allow an estate sale. That's happened a lot. And of course, if you actually get somebody who wants to do an estate sale, they could be booked 3 months out, 4 months out, depending on what their schedule is. And so you might be moving in 1 month and they say, well, we can't get over to you until 3 months. So, you got to think about this ahead. And then of course, the donations and the clean out will go faster. One day, this will all be yours. Anybody have a room like that in your house? Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, let me tell you, it's exactly like that. You have to I had a garage like that once, and we had to pull everything out of the garage and put it in like piles and then get rid of what wasn't going back in the garage, and then only put back what was going to stay and be used. So you laugh, but this is what your kids see. Think about it that way. This is what they see. So anyway, ending on a nice note. And another thing to walk away with is let your family choose what they want now. Honestly, let them enjoy it now, so that, when you're gone and things are donated or disposed of, you're like, gosh, I really wish I had that one thing from grandma, that one little thing. And then don't forget to change your mail. I get that a lot. People move and they forget to change their mail and get the new address on there. So little food for thought there. So I think next is going to be Cammie. And she's going to tell you everything you need to know about your home and selling it.
Hello, I'm Cammie Gray. I work with Rule and Rule Realtors. I've been a realtor for about 6 years with Rule and Rule. I'm also an SRE specialist, which just means I've taken extra courses to help families navigate the move with seniors and some of the complex dynamics that might come with that. So I also am a senior resource specialist with LivWell Seniors, so I can help you sell your home and then also help you move into the next stage, whether it's assisted living, independent living, or whatever you choose to do next. I'm going to follow my notes because, sorry, I will sidetrack pretty easily. So I'm actually going to talk to you mostly about staging your home, and we can do this in coordination with downsizing. So if you have Gwen come in and help you downsize, ideally you would move first. I'm going to agree with Gwen on that. If you can downsize everything and then we can come in and stage it, it's a much simpler process for you mostly. But if you can't do that, we'll kind of look at both scenarios. Most of your buyers, the biggest thing, it used to be curb appeal was the big word that everybody used to use. Now with everything being online, curb appeal is important, but it's not the number one thing anymore. So people are going to look at all the photos online of the inside of your home before they actually ever come to your home. So curb appeal is still important, but it's not the main thing now. So now the inside of your home is way more important than it used to be. So most buyers are going to look online as well as realtors. So once you list your home, I'm looking online at all your photos as well. Same thing with buyers. So before I ever send your home to a buyer, I'm going to filter through all the photos to make sure it's a good fit.
Who's taking the photos?
So we have professional photographers. So if you list your home with a realtor, we hire professional photographers to come in. Yeah, so after we downsize, yep. So that's the part we're going to talk about is the downsizing and then the staging. So yes, ideally, if you can't get all the stuff out first for photos, we'll kind of pack what we can and move it out of the way for the photos. So if you're going to live in your home, that's probably the biggest thing, is to downsize the stuff you don't need. You're going to move anyway, so you're going to have to pack it anyway. So we always recommend, get your personal photos out of there, get all of your personal knickknacks, as much stuff as you can, pack and either, sell, donate, or move piles. So if you're donating it, get it out of there so it's out of the way. If you're taking it with you, pack it nicely in boxes, and then we can put them in the garage. So free to move later. So then it does make photos easier, and it also makes it easier when buyers come in to look at your home. And actually, yeah. So the other thing I see a lot is excess furniture. I have a lot of seniors that we work with, and they tend to have 3 couches in their living room or 3 hutches, or what I mean? They accumulate stuff and then they don't want to get rid of it. So the biggest thing when you're looking at a home is, I call it clutter, but also unnecessary furniture. It just makes the rooms look a lot smaller and a lot harder to navigate. So you want it to look open and airy and clean lines as much as possible. And buyers do look at your closets, cabinets, and drawers. I hate to say it, but they do. They open up the drawers, they open up the cabinets, and they for sure open up your closets. So along the lines of what Gwen was saying with the clothes, if you can get rid of and downsize and organize your closets, it does help. And then medical items is another big one. Your personal and medical items, I just recommend people have a basket. So all your medication, when there's a showing, you can put it in the basket and throw it in your car. I don't like to show homes with medicine in there because you just, we walk through with buyers, but I don't want to be responsible for somebody's medication possibly being misplaced or taken. So I usually recommend just have a basket, throw it in there, and then take it with you. And same thing with walkers and stuff like that. You would. So switch it. You're gonna want to put your walkers and stuff in a closet just so they're out of sight. The biggest thing for your home when you list it is cleaning. I have cleaners we work with, so we recommend having a professional come in and do a deep clean, because as much as you might clean your home, you're probably not going to see the same things that buyers see, like ceiling fans, windows. There's a lot of dusty areas that people you get used to it, so you're not, maybe don't even notice it anymore, but a buyer's going to notice that. And then you're going to want to maintain the cleanliness for your showings. So if you can't clean, which we run into a lot, we're going to recommend maybe a bi-weekly cleaning with the professional cleaner. And then once everything's put away and out of sight, you're probably going to want to keep it that way for showings. If you move first, which goes back to that's the easiest route, it's a one-time thing. You move, we can have people come in and clean, and then we'll have stagers come in and stage it. It's a much easier process. You don't have to leave every time we have a showing. And if you have pets, you don't have to worry about where the pets are going to go. So if that's an option, that's always going to be our first recommendation. The market's been moving pretty quickly still, so it's not like you're going to sit on it for 6 months, hopefully. So once it's empty, sorry, I'm moving ahead faster than your slides. If it's staged or empty, it's a much easier process. We clean it once, and then you don't have to worry about it. And as a realtor, we're going to have people come in and stage it for you, so it's going to show as well as we can. We'll have the photographers come in, and then we're going to be the ones to show it for you. Okay, so updates. I get this question all the time: is what do I need to do before I move out? So I'm going to start with first. If you don't want to do anything, you don't have to. Like, we'll sell it as is. You're just not going to get as much money for it. So we have a lot of people who are just sell it the way it is. I don't want to mess with it. So that's fine. We can do that. But if you're wanting to get the most money for your home with the least amount of investments, it's always going to be paint and flooring. You're always going to want a fresh coat of neutral paint and then flooring, even though flooring is one of those things that everybody always tells me I don't want to do because a buyer's going to want what they want. It's just a huge thing. Clean floors are huge. So, because you can't move into a home when you have to come in and replace carpet and everything. You can't put all your stuff in there and then have to pull it all out to get flooring done. So it's probably one of the best things you can do, paint and flooring. And then there's a lot of small things people don't think about. Light bulbs are huge. I showed a condo not too long ago that there was probably 20 of the can lights in the kitchen, and maybe 2 of them were actually working. So, the problem with that is we go in and change them because it's huge. So as a realtor, we're going to make sure your home shows well. But if you don't do that, I think we missed one bulb, and they wanted an inspection because they thought there was an electrical issue because the light didn't turn on. So, it's a little thing, but it's also can be a big thing. Doorknobs, you want to make sure your doorknobs are tight. Light bulbs, and then fixtures. If there's any little fixtures that need to be cleaned up or changed, that's best bang for your buck. And then the exterior, your yard still matters. When I said curb appeal is not the main thing anymore, it still matters. You still want it to look nice, clean up any overgrown brush or any weeds that are out there. You still want it to look well taken care of, because the biggest thing for a buyer is if they look at your house and it looks like you've let everything go, they're going to assume the big things have not been taken care of either. So that's still a big thing. And updates, do matter. Kitchens and bathrooms are huge. I don't expect everyone to redo a kitchen when they're selling their home. But if you can, great. But so those things still affect your price, but and then, in some homes, it depends on the home. We don't stage every home. So it just depends on if it's one that I think is just going to move really quickly on its own. If not, then we'll recommend staging it. Like smaller homes, it's nice to stage because people can see stuff actually fits in there nicely, so bedrooms especially. I think you look at a small bedroom and you're like, I'm never going to fit my bed in here. But then, as you look at assisted living, it's the same thing. When they have the queen size bed in there, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that would actually fit in here. So it makes a difference.
Talk about the current time it takes to sell.
Okay, so the current market right now, it's not as good as it was a year ago, like where they were selling in, minutes with multiple offers, but they're still selling. I just listed my brother's condo yesterday and we got an offer this morning. So, they're still selling. The biggest thing on that is they have to be priced correctly. So I have a lot of people who, this is what I paid for it, or this is what my neighbor thinks it's worth, or whatever, number they have in their head. And I don't know where they get those numbers sometimes, but if you don't price it correctly, it's going to sit. And then once it sits, you lose momentum, and then you're going to get low offers. So they're still selling as long as they're priced correctly.